who can lead LSU to their next national championship, or at least not take a vacation to the beach during a bye or during an important recruiting cycle or event. Who can compete for titles? Who can bring LSU to the playoffs and maximize the talent they have? Not a Brian Kelly. LSU deserves better than Brian Kelly. Let's cast a wide net and look at who I think LSU's top candidates could be. And I say a wide net because we're going to be talking about plenty of names, because typically these coaching searches result in someone being hired that many didn't expect. So I want to cast a wide net and try to at least have that name be on the list. And it's intriguing to play these games and to spin the die and roll them. This channel will make you a college football expert and help you enjoy watching games and make more accurate predictions. So what are you waiting for? Like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, comment your thoughts, and watch the video all the way through so that you can get the full package. And check the description and pinned comment for more ways to help yourself and this channel. Future head coaches, let's start there. Current coordinators who I think are destined to one day be head coaches given either their youth or how they've performed. Shannon Dawson from Louisiana. He's had success at Miami. I know their offense this year isn't as good as it was last year. Part of that could be a Mario Cristobal thing or a Carson Beck thing, though. You also got Ryan Grubb. I know he looks old, but he's only 49. OC at Alabama. Has had a ton of success there. And at Washington, has been to the NFL, so knows what it's like being under pressure, trying to utilize talent. Don't know how elite of a recruiter he would be, but if you surround him with recruiters and he's open to NIL and he's willing to fundraise, you could probably take care of that. And then you got Colin Klein at Texas A&M, former Kansas State offensive coordinator, produced the best years under Chris Kleiman there at KSU, star quarterback, and has had success at A&M so far. For the defensive coordinators, I give you Glenn Schumann, learned under Kirby Smart. Dan Lanning worked out for Oregon. I know that Schumann hasn't fielded the defenses that Lanning did, but he also, didn't deal with the same roster, didn't have the same players. So I don't think that him or Smart have forgotten how to coach defense. Things have just happened. Let's just put it that way. I think Glenn Schumann would be a good hire. Blake Baker, maybe you go internal. He's fielded good defenses. He has been the best coach for LSU this year. Maybe you give it to him. You let him spin the wheels. And also Corey Heatherman. He's a quick riser. He's worked with Kurt Signetti, worked with Mario Cristobal, PJ Fleck. He knows how to do more with less. Imagine giving him LSU's resources, giving him a crack at the head coach spot. Maybe it pans out. But I think LSU will want to go after a head coach. Just saying, look out for maybe these future head coaches. Maybe they take a risk and it really pays off here. For coaches who I think are out of the box, coaches who are definitely not on the top of the paper, the top of the spreadsheet. Jedd Fisch from Washington, offensive guy, quarterback guy, rebuilt Arizona, looks like he's rebuilding Washington, and they have been able to recruit fairly well at both Washington and Arizona. Remember Elijah Rushing? He nearly went to Arizona. Jedd Fisch nearly got him. Remember, there's no one else to remember, but he scouted and recruited DeMond Williams, and they have a current 5-star offensive tackle. So I think he'd be willing to recruit, and he's more than punched above his weight class. Manny Diaz, defensive guy who's adopted offense. Jeff Lebby, he's turned around Mississippi State and been in a lot of close games. He's also been at Oklahoma, been at Ole Miss. Again, these are out-of-the-box hires. These are not hires who I would even choose. And, I'm far from an expert, but I'm saying that as someone who, I think knows at least a little of what they're talking about. I'm not an AD. I'm not an expert at hiring head coaches. They're going to be even further down the list than I would have them, and I don't have them at the top of my lists. Dave Aranda, he's been at LSU before. It hasn't been pretty at Baylor, but you also don't have the same resources you do at LSU. And then I have Eric Morris from Texas, North Texas, and then Brent Key from Georgia Tech. Brent Key would be an A-plus level hire at just about any job in college football. If he wants to come to LSU, I don't think you turn that one down. Proven head coaches, so not quite the names who you make say no, but Josh Heupel, it's been rumored that he's in talks with LSU. Don't know how true that is. Eli Drinkwitz, Clark Lee, Kenny Dillingham, Jon Sumrall, and Lane Kiffin. Any of these names I would be excited about if LSU hired them. Any of them. But especially the bottom names, actually. So Lane Kiffin, Jon Sumrall, Kenny Dillingham. Heupel and Drinkwitz could work. Wouldn't be quite as sold. Lee I would be pretty sold on. Yes, he's Brian Kelly's ex-defensive coordinator from Notre Dame. But look at what he did at Vanderbilt. Like, imagine what he could do with LSU's resources, which is going to be a theme for a lot of these guys, except for the names at the top. You make these names say no. I give you Nick Saban, Dan Lanning, Lincoln Riley, Marcus Freeman, Mike Elko, and Kalen DeBoer. Call them, make them say no. I took some coaches that I had for the Penn State job of making them say no off. So that included, I think, like Ryan Day, and maybe there was someone. Oh, Steve Sarkisian. I don't think Sark, if he were to leave Texas for another coaching job, would leave for like the one down the road if there was such an insane thing to happen. And if Day isn't going to coach in the NFL or at Ohio State, it's not in the SEC, I don't think. Just from like how he likes to run things. They're not leaving their current jobs, but in a hypothetical, exciting scenario of, pulling off an unprecedented move, LSU should call these guys and make them say no. Any of them, I think, would fit, would pan out. Same with most of the proven head coaches. But again, Ryan Day, Dan Lanning, Kirby Smart, Steve Sarkisian. Well, not really Steve Sarkisian, because he was a head coach in late 2000s, early 2010s. But in the mid-2010s or even early 2020s, a lot of your top head coaches were coordinators. So it's not always about hiring the biggest name right now, but who you think the biggest name is going to be in the future. I think that LSU is in a prime position to reestablish themselves as a power in college football. They should go after some big names just because of their history of winning it all and the talent they have. But if they fail, they should not be afraid of being more blue-collar, more under the radar, and hiring someone that they believe will work even if others around the nation do not. Thank you for watching. It's my mission on College Football with Sam to make you the most informed, knowledgeable, and entertained fan as possible. We aren't perfect, but we hit the nail on the head more often than we hit our thumb with the hammer. Make sure to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, comment, and if you're here, you've probably already watched the whole video. So thank you for doing those things.